if you're trying to learn, if you're trying to master something and you're on that journey, let me describe the process you're going through. If you're onboarding a new team member and you want them to climb that learning curve, let me describe what they're going through so that you can be of the best possible help to have them master a skill or have yourself master that skill. In any learning, you start at the bottom. You start with unconscious incompetence. You don't know what you don't know. You don't know that the process works this way. You don't even know that the process exists. That is here. A new employee doesn't understand any of your processes, doesn't even know they exist until they walk in the office. And they immediately move from unconscious incompetence to conscious incompetence. There's a lot to learn. Have you ever heard that? That is what happens here. There's a lot to learn. They're consciously incompetent. They don't know how to do certain processes, assessments, base level stuff. They're still learning. When you start learning, you are becoming conscious of being incompetent. You're trying to figure out what is the skill, what is the process, what needs to get done, and you're learning the competency that it takes. As you begin to get some competency under you, you become consciously competent. You have to think about it. You have to do it. You have to follow the instructions. You have to refer to your notes. It takes some conscious competence. You need focus. You might need some quiet space. You might need a little bit extra time. But all of that comes from the conscious competence. And oftentimes, if, let's say, it's an intake, and the phone rings, they're taking some information, they may move back and forth between conscious competence, where they have a form and they're filling it all out, and conscious incompetence, because something crops up on the call that they're not expecting, they haven't handled it before, and they become incompetent or less competent because they don't know the questions to ask. They haven't been trained. They haven't had that experience yet. So it's common for people to move between conscious competence and conscious incompetence. This is reps. This is learning cycles. This is what it takes. And oftentimes we become impatient when people don't learn it the first time. I've taught you something. I expect you to become from unconscious incompetence directly to conscious competence. There's very little tolerance at times for this conscious incompetence spot. And that's often where frustration comes in, is that we have to allow for people to go back and forth between these as they learn, as they get experience. That is what's the learning curve. This is where the curve is. How steep is that curve? How do you push them through this? Once they become consciously competent, then what happens is they become unconsciously competent. And this is where they're just really good at their jobs. They do it, they know how to do it, they don't think about it, they drive through it. And oftentimes where we as owners are, because we've been doing this for a long time. And therefore, you're consciously, competent has been a long time ago. You are now unconsciously competent. The phone rings, you need to take an intake, you just go through it. You don't even think about what you're doing, and you collect all the information and you handle the objections, you handle the questions. You are unconsciously competent. You are skilled. Oftentimes, people who are unconsciously competent are the worst teachers because they don't even remember the steps. They can't articulate the steps because they just do them. You ever seen anybody like that who can't teach? I always like to use the analogy of driving a car. A lot of people know how to drive a car. Not everyone can teach someone how to drive a car because they may be unconsciously competent, but when it comes to how do you parallel park, how do you do a three-point turn, how do you do things that you have to describe and explain and teach somebody, they're not always the best teachers. Give yourself a break when you're going through this process to allow this effort to happen. If you don't allow this effort to happen, then you'll get frustrated that they haven't mastered or come up here faster than expected. If you're worried about a team member learning, I would give them less activities to become consciously competent in versus more. The more they have on their plate, the more they have to become consciously competent in, the more they'll stay in this space and let them master one thing at a time. As they master one thing, let them master the next. That's not the simple, it's oversimplified, but keep it to a manageable number of things so that you can see that they're capable of getting here and eventually here. Coach PJ Weiland, helping you get the business you deserve. Until next time.